guys imagine a 23-year-old guy named Nick Shirley decides to go to Minnesota with a camera and another man who's from Minnesota, been investigating everything. This 42-minute video, if you've not seen this 42-minute video by Nick Shirley that he posted, I don't know how many views it's at right now. That 42-minute video is over 111 million views on X, 536,000 likes, 199,000 retweets, and everybody, this is hundreds of millions of views because it doesn't account for other people that are retweeting. And he's going to all these facilities. This one should have 102 kids, $2.6 million of government fund, and knocking on the doors. Are there any kids here? No. Why not? It's the middle of the week, middle of the day. No. Next one, boom, boom, boom. Hey, are there any kids here in 95? No. Hey, get out of here. Hey, what are you doing here? Turn off the camera. 23-year-old kid is like, what are you guys doing? By the way, while this is happening, you know what's crazy? If we go right now, we'll talk about that here in a minute. CBS, ABC, NBC, CNN, any of those guys. This is how much you're talking about it. How much you're talking about it. Because a guy named Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar are both holding each other, protecting each other, because if one drops the ball and throws the other one under the bus, it's going to be like this. And that's what Tom was talking about. Let's go check CNN real quick to see if CNN is talking about this at all. Let's go check ABC. Let's go check, CBS. See if any of these major outlets on their homepage, go to Fox one by one, Rob. Let's check to see if anybody is even talking about the most viral story, exposing Tim Walz, exposing Ilhan Omar, exposing how that one Democrat that voted against it, who Vinny's consistently talked about, how right afterwards she goes and all of a sudden is found killed. Can we zoom in a little bit on those videos to see if there's anything about this? Do you see any of it that's about it? Go a little bit lower. Do you see anything there, Rob? Anything there? Keep going. Is any of those stories about it, Rob? Rob, are you able to speak or no? Okay, if Rob is speaking, I can't hear him. But I'm going to go on.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, I hear you now.
Yeah, I don't see a single video here that has anything to do with the Minnesota fraud. Not a single one.
That's ridiculous.
Go to CNN.com. Don't even go to the YouTube page. Just go to CNN.com. Let's go to CNN.com because I'm on CNN.com right now. You got the Netanyahu story. You got nearly 500 women accused LA of OBGYN of decades of abuse. British boxer Anthony Joshua hurt in a fatal car accident in Nigeria. Key takeaways from Trump-Zelensky meeting. Nobody wants peace. There's not a single story on the homepage about that. Now go to ABC. If you go to abc.com, let's see what ABC's got. On abc.com, nothing on abc.com news. This is ABC about what happened with Tim Walz and what they found out in Minnesota. If we go to cbs.com, now keep in mind, this is all the people that are supposed to be reporting this, right? This is their job. They went to school to be journalists. But nope, the most viral story, they are not interested in at all because it exposes Democrats, and no wonder people don't trust the mainstream media anymore. If you go to foxnews.com, let's check foxnews.com. If you go to foxnews.com, you will see Minnesota fraud on the second, Tim Walz right at the top. You'll see Minnesota fraud probes raises questions about Ilhan Omar's Somaliland position. You will see a couple stories there about it. Okay. So, Vinny, I'll come to you first. You had a chance to watch the whole thing. I think, Adam, you've seen the whole thing. Tom, you've seen the whole thing. Vinny, where are you at with this? And meanwhile, Rob, if you can pull up a couple videos about it. Vinny, where are you at with this from the first time when we saw about it to now that's gone viral and everyone's talking about it?
Okay, so lumps and Shuman, but okay, so we'll just all together, Pat. I've been trying to piece together, why the mainstream media is not talking about it. And then I kept going back and forth with Tom, and I was like, okay, why out of all the people did Kamala Harris, did the DNC pick Tim Walz to run for vice president? I was like, very, very interesting. And then if you guys remember, by the way, nobody knew who Tim Walz was. And all of a sudden, this guy who now is in one of the biggest scandals in the history of the United States, all right, over $18 billion, they picked that guy. Okay, let's put that to the side. Ilhan Omar, with her husband, net worth going from almost nothing to all these billions of dollars, then, you know, calling everybody racist that they even question it. That was weird. Then you have Melissa Horton, Pat, the one Democrat who voted against giving these illegals in Minnesota health care. She gets assassinated at her house with her husband, and the killer says that Tim Walz also wanted him to kill Amy Klobuchar. It's so insane to me. And then on top of that, there's a realtor in Minnesota that said, and I said Rob the clip, but I'll just say it, 450 houses in one area in Minnesota were bought in cash, turned into fake care centers, and then used to bill the state like clockwork, okay? Neighbors see no patience. All they see is luxury cars. Some of these places taking ex-cons without warning the community. So think about that. And by the way, a little fun fact, by law, realtors aren't even allowed to tell buyers what's happening in that situation, okay? The state sends monthly checks with zero, I'm gonna say that again, zero inspections, and most of the homes have few or no clients, but the cash keeps coming in. And then the fraud, Pat, this, you guys have to understand, this isn't just a couple of Somalis that just came here illegally and they're doing $9 billion worth of fraud. This, to me, goes up the freaking ladder. There is no way, Ilhan Omar, Patrick, there's no way Mrs. Pro-Somalia, another video came out of her saying, I can't wait, one of these days I'm gonna move back and live in Somalia with my child, that person who was so pro-Somalia and anti-America doesn't have an idea. Or Tim Walz, who has been silent. All of them are silent, and they're trying to use that whole white supremacist racist. There's a clip of Tim Walz claiming that everybody is racist. There's another video, Pat, where he's sitting there, and obviously it's a setup, and he looks back, and the old Minnesota flag is there. He removes it and puts the new one that looks almost identical to the Somali flag. All right? And what else was I going to say? There's a chart, Pat, that Rob has that I sent. The child and adult care centers in Minnesota maxing out donations to Somali candidates in Washington. Isn't that weird? What are child daycare centers donating to Democratic people in Washington? Isn't that weird? And Pat, I can't hear you guys right now, but I would like, yeah, look. Oh, isn't that weird? Sunshine Child Care Center. Isn't that a little weird? Isn't that weird? So what are they donating to? Pat, I think this
is what?
Lumps and Chub it. Let me get out. I'm going to come right back in. Give me 1 second because I want to show you guys a video.
So we've talked about all the, first of all, great connection to Nick Shirley, Adam. And Nick Shirley, thank you for what you did. But watch me connect these dots. I'm saying, why are the networks not covering the story? Is this really just Republican or Democrat thing? Why? And then when Vinny showed that little receipt that he's got, and Vinny, that is a campaign donation receipt in the state of Washington that was dollars that came from Minnesota, right?
Yep.
Pat, what we are seeing in Minnesota is the biggest campaign finance scam in history. They are laundering money through public assistance programs into the Somali community. The Somali community sends it to Somali. Al-Shabaab gets some of it, and then some of it comes back to Tim Walz's campaign. They've got him by the throat. If he speaks about this, they're going to show that money came back offshore from the campaign to it. I am convinced of this. This is my opinion. This is my deduction. This is what I believe. So I believe that they have checkmated it. And now we're seeing dollars from Minnesota going to Somali candidates in Washington. And why don't the networks talk about it? Who collects all the campaign donations? Campaigns, remember when they say that if you give $1 billion in relief fund to middle class Pat, it runs right to the EBITDA line of Wall Street, right? Because people are going to take it and just buy whatever they want. So, you know, you put $1 trillion in the economy as Biden did, the money's going to end up on Wall Street and the profit lines of Amazon and every company of people buy things. Bingo. Well, guess what? All of the money that comes into campaign finance goes to the network TV. And the networks are being told, stay off this. Because I believe the networks are being told plain, pure, and simple, stay off this story. because what it's going to do, I believe that all this public assistance money goes offshore, comes back to the campaigns. It's money laundering. And I believe it's the biggest campaign finance story in history.
Tom.
And now the networks are sitting there at gunpoint because they need that money every 2 years because the elections are hugely profitable for network television.
The question, though, Tom, here's the question. Who's going to throw who under the bus? Is Ilhan Omar behind closed doors saying, Tim, go ahead, I dare you to say something? Because you're complicit yourself. I dare you to say something. So if Tim knew about this, and Ilhan Omar knows that he knew about this, and there's paper trail in text messages and WhatsApp and Signal and videos and exchange and email, I mean, these guys are going to protect each other. It's not like one person's going to jump in and say, hey, if a whistleblower were to come out right now and say some stuff, it would be a very, very interesting thing to see on what's going to happen here. By the way, the one lady that voted against a lot of the stuff who later on got killed, I want you to watch as Democrat. Rob, you have the clip that Vinny was talking about earlier. Watch her reaction of how concerned she is that she was the only Democrat that voted against it 67-1. This is Melissa Hortman. Rob, can you play that clip real quick?
I know that people will be hurt by that vote, and we worked very hard to try to get a budget deal that wouldn't include that provision.
DFL Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman emotional following the House's adjournment from a special session Monday. Hortman was the lone DFL lawmaker to cast a vote to cut Minnesota Care access for undocumented immigrants.
Weird.
It's a move she made with a heavy heart.
I did what leaders do. I stepped up and I got the job done for the people of Minnesota.
The bill was deeply unpopular with members of the DFL caucus. Members have repeatedly expressed frustration that the bill was part of a compromise, one that would ensure the necessary GOP votes to pass the rest of the state budget.
Vinny, how much longer after that was she killed?
A week. I want to say a week. It wasn't that long, Patrick. Her and her husband, and then that killer went to another place, shot 2 other people, killed one of them, and then in his manifesto said that Tim Walz hired him or wanted him to kill somebody else. Do you understand? And think about it. Look at how emotional she was, because think about it. Those people that she's like, hey guys, because Pat, she has a heart. She's like, that money, I'm sorry, should be going to other. She understands that these people don't have anything. They're coming from a third world country. But what's fair is fair to the people. And then Pat, it's not, when I say this goes all the way to Washington, I sent Rob this clip of a tweet that Kamala Harris posted. It was in September 10th, 2024. Kamala tweeted, I was raised a middle-class child, and I'm the only person on the debate stage tonight who has a plan to lift up the middle class and the working people of America. And then, Rob, if you could pull this up, Minnesota staff fraud reporting replied. And Rob, can you pull that one up? And I'll read what they wrote, Pat. Look at the chart that they put up. They said, Ms. Harris, please listen to Minnesota state employees who work every day to deliver best services possible to our state and people who expect no less and pay our wages. Tim Walz has caused incredible harm to our state and agencies, retaliated against whistleblowers, against fraud. Rob, you have that chart. You put it up a couple seconds ago that had the 250 million on the top. Could you put that one up? And that tweet, she's posting about the middle class, and Pat, they posted that under the reply. Look at the whistleblower. The whistleblower is screaming, 500 and $922 million. They've been saying it. They've been trying to blow the whistle. And Tim Walz, in my opinion, you're involved. He has to know. If you're shutting up whistleblowers, then you're involved. And one last thing, Pat, because I know you want to move on. Nick Shirley did this as well, if you don't mind me doing it. The Sweet Angel Childcare. And Rob, if you want to put up the Google link, the phone number to this place goes to, guess where, Adam? Tim Walz's office. Why is one of these daycares, if you call, here's the number, Pat. I'm going to call. I'm going to put on speakerphone. Let's see. Let's see where this number's going.
Get out of here.
The one on the top. The Sweet Angel. That's the one right there, Rob.
Thank you for
contacting the office of Governor Tim Walz and the
Get out of here.
Oh, Pat,
Our office is
Pat, isn't that weird?
Sweet angel children.
Why?
Is this
75.
Can you read the number for us to match it? Read
Pat, the number is 651
Yep.
201
Yep.
3400.
That's the exact. Zoom in a little bit on that number, Rob, for Sweet Angel
Wow.
Childcare.
Why,
That's
hey
the
Patrick?
same
Why in
exact
God's
number.
name would it go to Tim Walz's office? Huh?
I just searched it at Minnesota.gov. That's a match.
Wow.
So
Well,
And
so
is that- do we have a number to the Leering Center where all the Somali kids were leering every single day?
I want to do this one thing before we move on to the next story because we got a lot more stories to go through. Rob, can you show one of the clips, especially the lady that just shuts the door on Nick? If you can show that one clip and then we'll move on if the audience hasn't seen this yet. Go ahead, Rob. Watch this, folks. You're going to get very upset.
Here in your child care?
Which child care name is a lot of
Minnesota Child Care right here. It's from the state of Minnesota's website. We're just wondering where the children are.
where the children are.
Yeah, where are the children? It says
Covering
you
her
have 102
face.
children here, and you got $2.66 million this year in funding, and $2.5 million last year. We're just wondering where the kids are.
And who are you?
My name's Nick Shirley.
Nick Shirley.
And where you? Which department? That is harassment.
Oh, we are from ourselves.
that's harassment.
Hello.
This
we'd
is
like to
harassment,
ask, where's
asking
the money
questions.
going?
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look
This
at
is
that.
in America.
Shut us down. Where are the children at? No children inside of this daycare center. And look at this daycare center right here. No children inside of this daycare
Jeez.
center. But between those buildings, over $2.6 million. No children.
To
Tom,
avoid
how much money
investigation, they're
is
trying to make it about the kids. To avoid
Tom? How
investigation,
much
they make
money
it
are
about the
they saying
benefits.
this is going to be? How many billions? Potentially, I've heard 9
9.
billion.
9.
We're up to 10, 9.2 I've seen,
Okay.
but it was half of 18, right? So that's what everybody's talking
I
about.
just want to say the people of Minnesota deserve so much better than this. You know, Pat, you always say elections have consequences. These are the consequences of voting in Tim Walz, of voting in Ilhan Omar,
Yeah, but-
of voting in Amy Klobuchar. Hold on, Vinny. How many small business owners out there have been rejected? You know, Valuetainment, Bet David Consulting, shout out to those guys doing great work. How many small business owners do we deal with that are looking for funding? They're looking for grants. They're looking for loans and have been rejected by the federal government, by state government, whatever it is. And they're just funneling money to these literal Somali pirates. And it's a slap in the face to every hardworking American.
really is.
This is where your tax funding is going.
You're
It's
making
BS.
you're making a very good point about the fact that, you know, how about the people of Minnesota that actually want to create jobs instead of these guys that are coming in here to want to take advantage of the system? Somalis, after having lived in America, Minnesota, for 10 years, what percentage of them take welfare still after 10 years? Rob, can you pull this up now, please? Watch this, folks. When you look at this chart, it shows the gray shows Somali immigrant households in Minnesota after 10 years. Look how many of them are still taking welfare.
Does that say 81%? What does that say?
78% of those who have been here more than 10 years. So if some of the newer people that are here, okay, maybe a year, 6 months, 3 months, more than 10 years, 78%.